Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Split Decision. You're here obviously with me, Taku, and Para to my left as always. And today we've got another special guest, Kalani Purcell from the Melbourne Boomers. Well, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for coming on. And obviously, before we get into it, we obviously have to mention Cremlin, our sponsors. They have their tracky pants out, and by the time this episode's out, they're going to have their new hoodies, the hoodie 2.0s and the t-shirts. So make sure you guys are checking out their Instagram and their website. And also make sure you're checking out
the giveaway as well.
Oh yeah, they have a giveaway going on, so make sure you guys check that out. And then also have Instagram, Twitter, and our new YouTube channel. Everything will be in the description. So make sure you're checking that out. And I guess without further ado, let's get straight into it. So do you remember sort of the first time you started playing basketball, how old you were playing it?
Yeah. The first memory I have of basketball was probably like about 6 years old. I just played like a little mini basketball when I was in New Zealand. But I was kind of exposed to it pretty much from birth because all my family, all my siblings and my parents all play basketball. So I've been around it like my whole life.
Right. So do you reckon that was like the leading choice to play basketball and not any other sports?
Nah, I don't think so. Like I played kind of every sport sort of when I was growing up.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you were a kid growing up playing basketball, did you ever sort of like have this realization that you could go professional? You can sort of take your basketball to that next step, that next level?
Yeah, so I think I probably decided when I was like 12 that I was going to take basketball seriously. I mean, like I took it seriously, but I think I really decided I was going to take it seriously. And so I think from there, and because I also had two sisters that were in college in America at the time, which then like started my, I guess, goal of wanting to go to college. And then one of them came back from college and played professional. And I have three sisters, and two of them played professional for the same team. And so when they were playing professional, I also decided that that's what I wanted to do. And so I kind of made it that at that point, that was my goal after college, was to play professional.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Were there what was training like as a kid? Did you was it like three days a week, 5 days a week? How was it when you when you decided to make it professional at that point?
Just trying to remember. I feel like that was so long ago. So there was, when I was probably 12, 13, 14, there was like a group of us that kind of all had similar goals. And so we all sort of went into like the same team, and we had like early morning trainings that we would all join together. And most of it was like fitness training and speed and agility stuff that was early in the morning. And we all kind of had the same goal, which helped motivate each one of us. And so that was kind of what we did. I think we did that 4 times a week.
Right.
Yeah. And then we had one of my other friends, his dad used to take open class. So he used to do open class basketball sessions at 6 in the morning on 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so I used to do those as well, just because, I don't know, because ball was life back then. So I just wanted to do everything.
The facts. The fact of life.
That's a mood.
It's a mood.
So growing up, did you have any sort of basketball players that you idolized and you wanted to model your game after?
None that are in the NBA or the WNBA, but it's because I wasn't really exposed to it. We didn't really watch a whole lot of TV, especially sports stuff. So I kind of just had my siblings that I sort of looked up to. The only other people were New Zealand based, Dylan Boucher and Mika Vicona and those kind of players that you guys probably don't know.
No, not familiar with names. I mean, so moving on to your teenage years, to your collegiate career, you played with John Paul College High School, where you guys won 3 national championships. What do you remember about like your time at high school?
So you mean here in Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, at first it was like really strange and just like kind of challenging because I moved over here like by myself. Like my parents stayed in New Zealand and I moved over here. I was living with one of my sisters, one of the ones that was playing professional. She was still playing professional for Logan Thunder when they had a team.
Mm-hmm.
And so I moved over here to go to school, and I guess sort of every decision I made back then was sort of to do with basketball. And so I made that decision to come over here to play for John Paul College. But when I first got here, I couldn't go in straight away. So I had to go to Runcorn State High. So I went there for like a term and a half,
Right.
which was pretty cool. Like they're still pretty basketball focused. So I still was like doing what I came here to do.
Still life there.
Yeah. So then when I went to John Paul College, it was really challenging, and because like I wasn't the most academic student or athlete, and so going from a place that I also went to in New Zealand was called Fraser High School, which wasn't as academic, and then also coming to Runcorn, like I kind of fit into Runcorn a little bit better. But then when I went to JPC, like I guess the academic standard they had there was just a lot higher than I was used to, and so I guess everything was just sort of overwhelming. But I had a really good relationship with our headmaster at the time, because he was also our basketball coach, so that helped. And so he really helped me a lot, and the teachers and stuff there were really supportive and helped me heaps. And yeah, so it was really cool. Like it was a really fun experience, and I'm definitely glad that I came over. Like I sacrificed a lot having to leave home, but moving over here was definitely an experience worth going through, I think, anyway.
Right.
You sort of mentioned before, but you said that you moved over here for basketball. What was sort of like that whole decision making behind you, like coming over to Australia, and like as well as like leaving your parents as well?
So that was like a really tough decision, and I think it was even harder for me because I kept asking my parents like, what should I do? And I was like 14 at the time, and I just like kept asking them what they thought I should do, and both of them were just like, it's your decision, like you need to decide for yourself. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm 14, I have no idea what I want.
It's actually a tough decision to make at a young age, you know, like moving across a whole, you know, country and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't be easy just pack up your things and take off like that. But I guess it's all paid off.
Way. Yeah.
It's all paid off.
Yeah, I think so anyway. Yeah, so like it was a really tough decision. It took me like probably until 2 weeks before I actually left to properly decide that I wanted to move over here. And so I think I was trying to make that decision from like October the year before. I can't remember what year it was, 2009. Yeah, until maybe like 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before school started, before I actually made my decision. And even then, when I did make the decision, I was still like, oh, I don't know, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. But then, yeah, I was kind of just like, you know, the quote from Michael Jordan, the like,
you miss 100%
the shots one.
Yeah.
That one.
Go. No, not the goat. We'll talk, no, it's not the goat. LeBron's the goat.
The goat.
It's a topic for another time. So you began your college career at the Hutchinson Community College in Hutchinson, for Kansas for the Blue Dragons. What was your decision behind going to play for the Blue Dragons?
So initially I wanted to go straight from high school to my first my second college that I went to BYU, or Brigham Young University. But I didn't really have the grades to do it straight out of high school. So I had to sort of take the long way around, which was through JUCO. And the two sisters that I talked about earlier that went to college, they both actually went to Hutch. And so they kind of knew the system and the coaches and stuff. So it was kind of like an easier decision for me because I sort of already had like the connection there. Yeah, and both my sisters said that it was a really good school and stuff, like not just for basketball, but academically as well. And so when I kind of researched the school a bit more and like looked at the team and who was going to be leaving and what positions and stuff like that, and how the school record for like athlete graduation, like they were a really high percentage, and so I kind of like, it was sort of a no-brainer after that.
So you did your research in the school before you actually chose to go there?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Like
I'm just pulling up. Oh, like I'm coming to that. So you were there with the Blue Dragons for 2 years. What sort of experience were you able to gain from that and like take on with you when you went to BYU?
So my first year at Hutch was like, it was pretty tough, I think, because I mean, like, it helped that I had moved over to Australia for high school by myself, because I guess it kind of helped me become a bit more independent and like because like I had to have to bus everywhere and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like I'd have to catch the bus and the train to trainings and to school and all that stuff. So like it really helped me become more independent by coming over here for high school. Whereas when I went to college, like I guess it wasn't as much of a shock for me to sort of be on my own.
Yeah.
I think the hardest thing was probably that instead of being a 3-hour flight from Brisbane to New Zealand, it was like a 14-hour flight.
And those flights kill as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they are rough.
Trip to America.
And then to Hutch, because you have to take like 3 other flights in state, which is just really
it's a headache.
Yeah.
Everyone tells us like the experiences in college is just like wild and stuff. You know, they have so much like fun. You know, so. But what was your favorite memory of playing for like the Blue Dragons?
I don't know if I have one single favorite moment, but I think just the experience itself of actually being able to like be independent and do what I felt made me happy at the time. And like just the friends that I made and like the connections that I made with various people and just that kind of stuff. And even just like the basketball experience, like it was so different to what I had experienced here and in New Zealand, that like it was a challenge, but like a very, I don't know what the word is. Like I just accepted that challenge. Like it was.
Right, you took it on instead of being around it.
I hate every time we hear this. I'm just like, university sucks. I want to go to America. I don't want to be here. I said, I don't want to be here. I want to be here. You won the Jayhawk West Freshman of the Year in 2014. What did it mean to you to win this award?
Well, at the time, because I actually didn't know until like I think a week later, because I don't know why I didn't know. I just didn't. Until I think we were going internationals, and then my coach was like, "Oh, by the way, congrats," and I was like, "For what?"
Oh yeah, you won. You won this.
Yeah, and he was like, "You got this thing," and I was like, "Oh, cool."
You got this thing.
Yeah.
What a way to present it.
I didn't even know what it was at the time, because I was still trying to figure out what like freshman and sophomore and all that meant. I was like, I don't know what this means, but
please, I don't know. So you were also the Jayhawk West MVP in 2015. Was this like a big accomplishment for you?
Yeah, like it definitely was, and especially because like the season before like I mean, I had a pretty good season, but like it wasn't the best season because I still was trying to adjust to like the American way of playing and stuff. And so I think when I won that in 2015, like it was just such a
surreal feeling.
Yeah, but it was also just like I sort of just like patted myself on the back and was like, you know what, like good job for getting it out there. Like yeah, like I just was like, I feel like I had taken a really hard path, and I just, you know, it was a good reward for it.
So you sort of alluded this just then, but you said what differences did you see from the college game in America to sort of the high school at John Paul?
Like it's so like so basketball here, just in Australia in general and in New Zealand, like I feel like it's just so much more structured than in the States. Like when I was playing in America, like everyone just wanted to sort of just take the ball and go one-on-one and like try and sort of show everyone up. And so I guess like when I was first exposed to it, I was like, what are you guys doing? Like this is just like silly. Like, yeah. And I guess like when people would always talk about like, oh, what was your like game average, like point average for high school? I was like, I have no idea. Like we do not talk, that's not something we talk about.
Just win, you know, winning's the majority of the game, you know. I mean, that's all you want to do.
Someone needs to tell Para that in high school this kid would just want to go by himself 1v1.
Oh, such an air raid. It's such an air raid. I was a gracious point guard, all right. I gave him the I was like Steve Nash. I was fucking dying to everyone. I saved the season. I hit 2 game-winning free throws.
If I'm not going to hit the end of these game-winning free throws that I don't even remember happening. This doesn't even happen.
George will help us clarify that. So you left the Blue Dragons as the most decorated player ever, but what did you take away from playing with them, and what did you add to your game after playing with them?
Wait, what did you ask me again? Sorry.
That's all good. After playing for the Blue Dragons, you know, like what did you take away from them, and like what did you add to your game, like that you gained your experience from them, you know? Sorry, I probably worded it really bad. I'm really bad at English.
No, you didn't. I just like totally forgot what you said. So my coach was like a little bit crazy. Like he was a good coach, no doubt, but he was definitely a little bit crazy. And so I guess one of the things that I took away from being at Hutch or being with the Blue Dragons was like I had to, and I figured this out pretty quickly in my first year there, was that I had to really develop my mental toughness, because like I understood like his methods, but they were also just like a bit extreme sometimes. But like then I realized that I just need to like somehow figure out a way to sort of be able to like take in what he's saying, but just like block out what, like how he's talking to me, and just like, and not just me, like the whole team, and like sort of how he acts and stuff like that. And so that was probably one of the biggest things that I took away from being at Hutch, basketball wise anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for something that I added to my game, I was able to, not that I wasn't able to hear, but I was able, like I really had a lot of freedom to play when I was with the Blue Dragons. Yeah, and I think that was just really, like, it was a really fun experience for me, because I was able to like figure out like how good I could be. And that was just like a sort of like a little crack in the door opening for me to be able to actually like see like things that I could do.
Right.
Okay, that's cool. So and then after the Blue Dragons, you went to BYU, the Birmingham Young University in Utah, to play for the Cougars. So was there a specific reason why you wanted to go play for them?
I mean, there was like a couple reasons, so there it's a school. How do I say this? So it's a Latter-day Saint school, like a Mormon school.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and like I'm a Mormon, so it like just kind of fits perfectly, you know. But like not only just that, like when I went on my visits, I went to a few schools. I went to USC and I went to Oklahoma State and BYU. And I was going to go to a couple more, but I committed before I decided to go on those. So when I went on my visits, when I went to BYU, my parents came as well. And I just felt like BYU were the most real to me and like the most honest to me. And like they just like had all the same sort of beliefs and standards that I did in terms of not just religious, like I'm a huge like family person. And so when I was with the team, like I could really see that the team also was like not just a basketball team, like it was like a family. And so it was just really awesome to see like how they all were together. Whereas like on some of my other visits, like I could really notice that the team were not together, and there was like these 2 people over here and then like 4 people over here, and some of them didn't even like the coaches and all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, I don't know if I want to be part of that.
So you felt like, so would you describe your experience at the Cougars overall as like a positive experience, or like how would you describe your experience playing at the Cougars?
Yeah, it was really good. Like I gained a lot of like lifelong friends. I mean, I also did it at Hutch, but yeah, I gained a lot of lifelong friends. I made a lot of connections with like people, not just in basketball, like in the workforce and other sports, and just like random connections that you just don't think you would normally find anywhere. So it was just a really good experience overall. And my brother was there for the 2 years that I was there as well, so that really helped.
Yeah.
So because he went to school there as well, so I was able to, you know, hang out with them a lot and stuff. So it was just, yeah, like it was a really good experience. And like basketball wise, like I really enjoyed my time there. It was a really open-minded like program, which I quite liked because we could sort of like play how we wanted to play, I guess, and we weren't like strict on us running these plays and these plays, you know. So it was like a really free style type play, which was really fun.
Right.
Yeah.
So you say you were there at the Cougars for 2 years. What was your sort of favorite in-game moment from those 2 years at the Cougars?
I think so. One of my, well, there's like two games that I can really think of. 2 games. Yeah. One was my junior year. We played. We always went to this Hawaii like cluster tournament thing. Anyway, and Texas A&M were there, and they were ranked 5th, I think, at the time. And so this was in the preseason or the non-conference game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
And so everyone was just like hyping up Texas A&M because they were ranked 5th and they were this and that and whatever. And I just remember talking to, because there was like we had like a leadership group thing. And I just remember talking to them and I was like, we can like fully beat this team and blah, blah, blah. And then so we like came out, there was like 4 of us in the leadership group. And so we like came out before we had our like team huddle. And we were like, yeah, let's do this. And then so when everyone joined together, we were like, let's beat this team. And then so we like came out in that game like firing, and everyone was just like on one, like it was crazy. And I just remember that game so clearly because I remember I have heaps of family in Hawaii, and they were all like sitting right on where Texas A&M, I think it was the second half, like going towards their way. And they were sitting right there, like with their banners and just like signs, and I was just like, "That's my family."
That's my guy.
So everything was just so hype.
Oh my god! I imagine when you score a bucket, your family would just be going off from the crowd. Then that's it.
Yeah, they were crazy.
So
yeah, so I think beating them was just like huge, and we were all so hype after. We had like a little pile going on. It was funny.
That's insane.
It's just like a nothing game too.
It's a nothing game, but you still knocked up a highly ranked team, so it doesn't matter. You did it.
It's like the saying, nothing. They're nothing.
They're nothing.
So at BYU, you were named to the AAWCC Women's First Team in 2016 and 2017. What did it mean to you to make these teams?
Like it was really awesome. Like it was really awesome for me to make those teams because I think it was probably the first time, and because it was like D1 basketball. I like not saying anything against JUCO basketball, but like it was like proper D1 NCAA basketball. And so I think to make the first team, I was really just like, I don't know, like happy, and also like I felt just really like accomplished. Like I was like, yeah, like I can compete with these guys, and so it was just a huge confidence booster for me.
Stroking the ego.
Yeah.
So in the 16-17 season, you also won the WCC Defensive Player of the Year award. Was that like also one of those things where you just like had to pat yourself on the back for? You know, like did it mean a lot to you?
Yeah, it did, and I think especially because like, so my dad when I was younger, he used to like harp on to me all the time about like doing like the little things like going after rebounds and like diving on loose balls and just like all that kind of stuff. And so he used to be that kind of player and just like all over the place. And so he used to really like be on my case about needing to do those things, and like those things are so important and blah blah blah. And so I think when I won that award, I was just like, this is for you, Dad. Like, I got it.
Dad, you're to be a defensive player of the year. Right, you gotta hustle, man. Dennis Rodman style. You know, you gotta.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, who's that player? I couldn't think of Dennis Rodman's name. I was just like,
you not remember Dennis Rodman?
Who is it?
Dean Rodman, man.
But you know, people forget defense is legit half of basketball. You know. It's all good and well to average 30, but if someone's dropping 30 on you, then it doesn't. Then it's just.
Yeah. Who said it? Sir Alex Ferguson goes, offense wins you games, defense wins you championships.
Hey,
like, yeah, that's
quoting the GOAT manager.
I mean, Mourinho's better, but whatever.
No, we're not even gonna get it. We're not gonna get into this. So in 2016, you became BYU's single season record holder in total rebounds. What did it mean, like leaving, holding a record?
I think, I mean, like it's obviously like a proud moment, but I think what, like I really thought, like now and at the time, was like, man, if I had only, like it was just a lot of what ifs. Like if I had only done better at school, then I could have gone straight to BYU, and like imagine what kind of record I could have broken then. Like that's sort of what I guess went through my mind at the time, because I was like, this is really awesome, but like I think I could have got better.
Yeah. So what did you take from your college career as you entered your first professional game?
You said what, sir?
So what did you take from like your college career as you entered your first professional game? Like what did you like the experience?
Yeah. So like it was like the timing of everything was really strange, because like my coaches at BYU would always like remind me about certain things and like give me little hints, I guess. And I didn't really like register them at the time when I was at BYU. And then my first season with the Boomers, I don't know what happened, but like I just like something in me just like clicked, and everything that my coaches were trying to tell me at BYU just automatically came out when I started playing for the Boomers. And even I was like surprised, like what is going on right now? Like usually they would be like reminding me to do these things, and I'm like doing them automatically. I can't think of them specifically, but
Yeah.
I just remember having that feeling and being like, what the heck? And then I actually messaged them maybe like a month into the season, and I was just like, oh, it's so strange. And then like I told them all about this, and they were like, what? You couldn't do that when you were here? I was like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the sort of thing, like when those little things click as well, just makes the game so much easier.
Yeah. And it's
So
even just like something so simple as like running the lane like to your full speed. Like I remember my first season, because like no one obviously knew who I was. And so I was just like this random like young player coming in, like first season, rookie season, and also helped that we had like Liz Cambase in the team. So like people obviously had all their attention on her and like no attention on me. And so like I could always sneak through like random little gaps and like get wide open layups or fast break layups and just that kind of stuff, because people weren't even worried about me. They were more concerned with Liz.
Yeah.
So before we talk about your professional career, we have to talk about your international career. So you made your junior international debut for New Zealand at the under-17 2009 Oceania Championships in Brisbane at just 14. Like what did it mean to you making the New Zealand team?
So it was kind of like, it was an interesting I guess time for me, because I wasn't quite sure of my own skills and like that kind of stuff at the time yet. And so I think to make the team, and also because like I didn't actually go to the trial for that team because I couldn't afford it at the time, and I also couldn't afford to go on the trip. So I wasn't really expecting anything, but then I think someone got hurt or someone had to drop out of the team for whatever reason. And so then they called me up and asked if I would be a part of the team. And I was like, oh, yeah, of course I will. Like, there's no way I would say no to that. And then so we worked out some way to handle the funds, because I still couldn't afford it at the time. And so I think everything at that moment was just so, I don't know, a bit surreal, because I was like 14 and everyone else was like 16. And so to like play at that level with those people and actually like get quite a bit of court time as well, and also play with one of my friends who was Panina. She was also in the team. Like for both of us to like play a fair bit of time together and go on that trip when both of us were like so young was just like, it was awesome. Like it was such an amazing experience, and I guess it kind of like drove my desire to want to play for New Zealand more.
So you made your senior international debut for the Tall Ferns at the 2013 Oceania Championships. Like, was there a different feeling when you went from the junior team to the senior team?
Yeah, for sure, because me and Panina and Stella all made the team together, and we were the youngest. So I was 18, and Panina and Stella were just about to turn 18. I think like the week after the tournament. And so I guess because we were so young and we were trying to compete with people like my sister, Natalie Taylor, who was in the team, and other people like Michaela Cox, she plays for Townsville, and Tony Farnworth, she played for Boomers last year. So we were trying to like compete with these kind of players that were just so much more experienced than us. Like it was just, I don't know, like we learned a lot more in just that 1 or 2 week period than I feel like I learned for like a year. Just because we were playing with such older, more experienced players that they like pushed us a lot to like meet the standard of the Tall Ferns culture and team and stuff.
Right.
So do you notice any difference between sort of that international level sort of game compared to playing at Melbourne?
Um, yes and no. Like international, I think is a lot faster but I also think it's because in the league or in the like region that we are, the Asia Cup,
Yeah.
Oceania, Asia.
They keep changing it.
Yes, that's what
I know what
it
you're talking about. I can't remember I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Because, well, actually, we are generally bigger than most of the other teams, which is really surprising because we are a small team. Like Panina is our tallest player, and she's only 6'3" ish. And so I think from like going from a slower pace in the Boomers to like having to compete with like Japan and all that stuff and all those teams that are just like super fast, like you just have to be really, I don't know, it's a lot of a mental game to go from like Boomers to international.
Yeah.
Just because the game is so different and like it's just a lot faster, and also because like with the tour friends, like we have to play faster as well. Like we can't be inside dominant like Australia is.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we actually really have to change. I don't know if there's much of a difference for like the Aussie team because they are just a lot bigger than most of the Asia Cup teams. But for the tour friends, I know that we have to really like focus on it a lot more.
Adapt your game to different teams.
Yeah.
So you captained the tall firms team that would go on and win the Williams Jones Cup in 2018. What did it mean for you to win like a trophy for your country at that time?
I think that tournament especially because we had such a young team. Like I was one of the oldest and I was 23.
Jeez.
Yeah, like it was such an interesting tournament, I think, for everyone because we were such a young team and the oldest were like me, Panina and Stella. And Ash, could I tell her? But yeah, anyway. So we, like, it was so weird for us to go from like the babies of the team to now having to be like the leaders of the team. And so I think for everyone, like not just me, it was a huge step for us in growing as a team and individually into like those leadership roles. Yeah, and I think for me specifically, because that was the first time I captained an international team, it was just like quite overwhelming. Yeah, and so it's obviously very proud. Like I was really proud of that team and just like of everyone in that team, and how we performed and stuff. But it was uncomfortable for sure.
Could you give us a bit of insight? Like, what role did you have to do as the captain of that team?
I mean, like it's not really that much different, but I think just instead of, because like when I am usually just like a player in the team, like I only have to think about myself. I mean, like I obviously think about the team and us winning and stuff, but like I don't have to actually worry about that. Like I just worry about like I need to perform to help the team and stuff. But as the captain, you like it's quite different because you do tend to worry about like the team as a whole and how you can help the team reach their like potential, I guess. And and I think because our team was so young, like it definitely helped me as a captain because everyone kind of listened to what I said. So that like kind of helped.
Oldest sister kind of thing,
Yeah.
Everyone listens to the oldest.
Yeah, so that like helped a lot. Whereas like in the last campaign that we had where I was the captain again, but I was like one of the younger ones, or I guess in the middle, and like not having to like boss my older sister around and like the older, more experienced players, but I guess like sort of having that voice over them is just like, it was real weird. Like it was,
You have to listen to me now.
Yeah.
It's me.
like it was
Look at me,
definitely
I'm the captain now.
I mean, it's not like I'm not gonna say that, but
Well, no, what are you gonna say? What are you
I
gonna
was
say?
gonna say it's not like Para wearing that fake C when we used to play soccer. But hey.
Why do I just get bullied? I don't know why I come on just to get
Bro, I had
bullied.
to get
Like, seriously.
last episode you're coming. I had to get revenge. I had to get revenge.
No, I didn't wear it as fake. It was real. Okay, the coach just didn't like me. It was different. He was an art teacher.
Don't let Brownie hear you say that. So
Daddy watches.
oh my.
Anyway, go.
The following year, you guys finished runners-up in the 2019 Cup. Was it sort of a bittersweet feeling not able to go back to back?
Yeah, like for sure. Like that's always just like a shoulda, woulda, coulda sort of moment. Like I could have done this better in the game or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it was also like a good experience because we had a completely different team to the year before, and even just like the senior team for the Tall Ferns, we had a different team as well. So I think it was just a really good time for us to sort of, I don't know, expand, I guess, the Tall Ferns wider squad and see all the different talents that we had. So I don't think I was really super disappointed in that tournament. I think I was, quite surprised about, because we usually only get like 2 days usually together before we have to start playing and stuff. So I think I was quite surprised about how, not random, but sort of random the selection of the team was and how well we all worked together.
Right. So you've had a pretty impressive international resume as well. Like you had a bronze medal in the Commonwealth team in 2018. But what was your favorite tournament to play in, or favorite international game to play in?
I mean, the Commonwealth Games was like amazing. Like it was such a fun experience, like on and off the court. It was just so different to anything or any other tournament I guess I had ever been part of. So that was just like totally awesome. But I think probably my most favorite tournament or campaign that I was at with the Tall Friends was in our last one against in the Olympic qualifying tournament.
Oh, right.
Yeah, where we had to play China, Philippines, and Korea. I think that was probably my most favorite tournament because, well, one, I was named the captain again, which was like awesome. And I think the previous Asia Cup, which was in last September, like we as a whole just were really underperformed. And like that was, I think the first time I had captained the senior group was in September Asia Cup. And I think I just really second guessed myself after that tournament because we just all were not, in sync. We were just not very well. We didn't perform very well. And then I think when we went back in November in the Asia Cup again to compete for the Olympic qualifying tournament, I don't know, I think just everyone's mindset had just shifted. And I think because for the first time we had really underperformed in September, and I think it kind of like woke everyone up a little bit, including me. So the tournament that we had in November was just like really awesome because everyone like played their hearts out and like everyone did their job really well, and also was in front of our home crowd, like at home in New Zealand. So it was just like amazing because we never get that opportunity because we just don't really have the funding for it to be able to host a tournament like that. So yeah, that was probably my favorite tournament by far out of all the tournaments that we have, even though we didn't qualify. We did our job that we needed to do. It was just point difference, coolness.
Oh, the little things that
Yeah.
So you sort of said this before, but you have two sisters that also played for the Tall Ferns. What's it like that, like for your family having three of their, like, I don't know, I don't want to say like kids, but like three people in your family like representing or have represented your country?
So we all actually, like all my siblings, so I'm one of 7, and my parents as well. So we all at one point in time have represented New Zealand, whether that's through age groups or sort of senior groups. And I think just like it, not that it was an expectation, because it definitely is not an expectation for us to like play for your country, but I think we all sort of set ourselves that expectation and high standards to compete at that level where we can play for our country. And so I think, for us to all play for the Tall Ferns, like my older 2 sisters play together, and then me and Nat have played together or play together, is just like a huge accomplishment for our family. And like my parents, I'm sure, are really proud of us for being able to represent New Zealand and also our family as well.
That's crazy. Like the odds of making national team and then like your whole family's played at like one stage. That's.
Do you have one of those things where it's like the friendly sibling rivalry, where you're like, yeah, I play for the national team, and then they're like, yeah, we also play for the national team.
It's like, no, but I captained it, so you know.
Yeah. Is it one of those things with the family?
Not really. Well, not like verbally, but whenever we like decide to do like literally anything, that's when everyone's like competitiveness comes out. Because I used to be one of the small ones, but now I'm the biggest girl in the family. And so when I play against like my oldest sister who played for Tall Ferns, Charmian, she played with Natalie. So when I like play against her, she's always like, yeah, you might be bigger than me, but I know tricks and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, calm down.
Just goes in the post. Just goes in the post.
Yeah.
Imagine you're like driving past and you just see like 2-on-2s, and all the 4 of those people just like represented New Zealand, you know. It's like, damn, they all play for our country, you know, professional basketball, and they're just playing a friendly game, you know. That'd be awesome. Let's just drive by. So moving on to your professional career, you signed a 2-year deal with the Melbourne Boomers out of college. So what was the decision behind that?
So Guy emailed me when I was still in college, actually. So he emailed me when I was in college, actually the year before. So after my junior year, he emailed me. I think he might have thought I was a senior and finished college. And I was like, I still have 1 year to go. Like I'm not finished school yet. And so when I finished my senior year, then he emailed me again and was like, hey, we want you to be part of the Boomers, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. And so I automatically went to my sister Nat, because she knows lots of people and has like played C-ball at the time. It's now NBL 1.
Yeah.
For like Ballarat, and she played WNBL for Logan Thunder when they had a team, and she's just like been around the basketball scene in Australia for a while, so she like knows lots of coaches and people and stuff, and I've like played for or trained with people. And so I was just like, do you know who this person is, like Guy Malloy? And she was like, oh yeah, like I know who he is. And then I was just like, well, he's emailed me to come and play for him and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And sorry, it was a fly.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and I was just like, what do you think of him? Like, do you like him? Is he like crazy? Yeah, I was also like just out of college, so I was thinking like coaches are crazy over here, like they are back there. And she was like, no, like coaches aren't like that over here. Like you can get that out of your head now. And I was like, okay.
Thank God.
And so she was, yeah, actually. And so she was just like, he's like a really good coach, like really fundamental. He'll help you develop as like a player, but he is a really like firm coach, and he definitely like knows what he wants and all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, okay. and I kind of didn't really like think anything of it. I sort of just like let it be for a little while. And then he got my phone number, then started like texting and calling me and stuff. But also at the time, I had also just signed with an agent when I was trying to play WNBA, or when I went to one of the training camps. And so he was like going back and forth between her and me, and she was also in touch with other coaches. So I guess it was sort of like another recruiting process, I guess, like how I went through in America. But then, like, after talking to my sister about like all the coaches and all that kind of stuff, and just like we like wrote down a physical like pros and cons list about every offer that everyone gave me. And so I guess we sort of just agreed that Boomers was probably the best decision for me to go to, at least for this contract. And then if I want to change it later, I can change it. And then when I did sign for the Boomers and play for the Boomers, it was just like, I don't know, like pretty much the first week of preseason, I was just like, yeah, like this is definitely where I want to be. Like it's such a good club. Like everyone's just so good here. Like the coach is awesome. The players are so cool. And so, yeah, like it was, after my first season, it was just like a no-brainer. Like this is definitely where I want to be.
Right.
Also sort of talked about like that process of signing an agent and like going to those WNBA tryouts and stuff, trials. What's that whole process like?
So they have like after college, they do like quite a few combines or like training. Yeah, just like sort of camps where you just go in and pretty much just play the whole time for like 2 days. So I went to one of those, and I guess when I was there, I had a fair few people come and talk to me, and like some from Europe and some from America, and just like rant like all over the place. Like if you want to play in the Euro League or if you want to play in wherever, like just call me and blah blah blah. And so I guess I was like really just had no idea, because I just was like, I don't know what any of this stuff is. And because like in the WNBL, like you don't really need an agent, you can all just do it by yourself. And so when I was trying to ask my sister, like if she had an agent, she was like, no, I've just always done my own contracts and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, you're no help. So then I was trying to figure out like what the best situation for me. Anyway, so I ended up asking my coaches, and one of my old agent, I don't have an agent anymore, but the agent I had when I was at college, she also was the agent of like previously was the agent of like 4 other like players from BYU, from the women's team from BYU. And so like I was able to like talk to the previous players and like about what I need to do and like how she can help and all that stuff. So I like signed her, and then it was pretty much it.
The rest is history.
Yeah. And then she would like talk to the WNBA coaches and stuff, and then I was able to get to a training camp.
Okay.
So during the 17 and 18 season, you guys finished runners up. What did you learn from this? What did you learn from anything from it?
This is for the Boomers, yes?
Yeah.
So that season, because what I was saying about like everyone was so focused on Liz and all that kind of stuff. 17, 18. Yeah, that's right? That's my first season?
Yeah.
I just don't even know.
Yeah, it is. 17, 18, and then 18, 19. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, so because everyone was just so focused on Liz, I think by the end of the season, what I was really not disappointed, but I think something that really motivated me was I decided that I needed to like not just be a role player. Like I needed to become a better player and like a better scoring option, because towards like the end of the season, people would just like triple team off like onto Liz, but off me on the 3-point line because like I didn't shoot threes in my first season, and so like that kind of really annoyed me. And it's not that I wasn't like capable of it, but I just didn't practice enough to be consistent with it. And so that just like that fact of them leaving me to go like triple team Liz like annoyed me so much. And so then I was like, I need to be better. And so then the following season and then last season as well, like that's pretty much the main thing that I've been working on, like to add to my game, is just like getting a 3-point shot where people like have to respect me out on the 3-point line and they can't just double off me onto like Kayla now at the moment.
Liz was getting triple Jesus. So then this season you guys made it to the semifinals and lost the 3 games to that Canberra team that we've heard quite a bit about.
Oh, can't stand them already.
So how do you reflect on the season that you guys just had?
Like it was a good so it was different from previous seasons. We had quite a different team. We had a much younger team than my first 2 seasons. And I think just like the culture and the structure of the team was just like a lot different as well. Like overall, I think we had a really good season. And I think if there's anything that I feel like we should change in the team, and like I've told this to like the coaches and the captains and stuff as well, is that like I just feel like we may have been too nice to each other like during the season. And yeah, so which is like, it's not a bad thing, but sometimes it's okay to just be like, come on, man,
real, like to keep
make
it
a
real,
layup. Yeah. So, but like other than that, like it was a really good season. I thought we all performed really well, and I thought we all tried really hard. Yeah, and I think it kind of just like motivated us all to just want to be so much better for next season.
Gotta be better next season, you know. So before you were talking about like how you're working on your 3-point jump shot, as in because you want to be that person that they can rely on. But for our listeners that like who haven't watched you play basketball before, how would you describe your game? Like, what's your strengths, weaknesses, kind of thing, you know?
So you know how you were like talking about Dennis Rodman?
Yeah.
So I think that would probably definitely describe my type of game.
The hustler.
Like I definitely pride myself. That's right?
Yeah, pride yourself.
Yeah. And like doing those things. And I think as well, because we have such a wide scoring threat on our team, like I also obviously want to be a part of that. Be a part of the scoring threats, but I really try to focus on doing like the small things that may be unnoticed to like the random spectator in the stands, but like I may dive on a loose ball, which then I pass the ball to Maddie, who then passes the ball to Izzy, and we get a fast break layup. Like just those kind of things that may seem like not a whole lot of coolness, but it like sparks the team. Yeah.
Doesn't show up on the box score, but those are the stuff that wins games.
Yeah. 100%. So that's probably how I would describe my game. However, it is growing, so
it is growing.
I am working on my scoring at the moment.
Can't wait to see you just pull up from 3 from half court. When
we get to a WNBL game, I just expect just range.
A guy will probably be like, "What are you doing?" I'll be like, "Guy, I've been practicing. It's fine.
It's my shot now.
Yeah.
You're looking up on the bench, and just nod your head and just pull up the logo. Oh my god.
Now for the most important question. There's only one right answer.
Okay.
But me and Para will say there's different answers. But who is your NBA GOAT?
There's only one right answer here.
Oh, I'll take two.
Allen Iverson. It's Allen Iverson.
I don't know.
I'll take two. Kobe Bryant doesn't count, bro. What are you seeing?
Yeah, Kobe. If you said Kobe, I'm like, yeah, I respect Kobe. Kobe can be the
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know. I don't know, because they're both just good players.
Thank you. See, someone understands. You don't. You
You're
don't have
so
to compare.
flip-floppy, bro. You're so flip-floppy.
Why can't you just appreciate them both, Taku? Why can't you
just like,
both?
no, I ain't hated on LeBron. You know, LeBron's that guy. You know, he got that. When am I? I've never hated on LeBron. I only did to piss George off, but George isn't here anymore, so I'm not to piss George off anymore.
Snake.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't decide. Can they just equal goat?
I respect that.
Equal goat.
1A. So she said Michael Jordan's 1A and LeBron James is 1B. That's fair enough.
I mean, if I go by the alphabet, I'm pretty sure L comes before N. So LeBron's. Yeah.
But no, it's time. It's time period, isn't it? So MJ played before LeBron. So it's
this is the worst conversation I've ever had in my life. Shut up, man. But speaking of another very important question, who is your WNBA GOAT?
You mean currently?
Ever.
Or ever?
yeah.
I think definitely Lauren Jackson.
Everyone said Lauren Jackson. Everyone we've had said Lauren Jackson.
Besides my what?
Tamika
Catchings.
In the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
yeah, you're right. But I think also because like she was sort of the first WNBA player that I was exposed to. I mean, she was like just across in Australia, but like she was one of the players as well as my siblings that I was like, yeah, that's who I want to be.
Yeah,
I want to be the Lauren Jackson, but of New Zealand.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
So you've had a pretty extensive career that we've dived into quite a bit, but looking back so far, what would you say your favorite moment just in general is?
I don't know. That's a hard one. That's a lot of things.
Thanks, Matt, for the question.
Who was that, Matt?
Yeah, it was Matt. Thanks, Matt.
Goated. Future tennis star. He'll be on soon.
I think probably my the last Tour Friends campaign was probably my favorite. Well, that and the Commonwealth Games, but I think the last one in last November was my favorite because I don't know, like I feel like I just like felt the most during that tournament, like just like so much pride and like love and sadness and joy and just like everything. I think it just like hit me so much more than other tournaments or teams that I've been on, and so I think that's probably my number one.
Oh, okay.
Do you have do you have a specific pre-game routines that you go through?
Not really. I try not to because then I'm like, oh, it's because I didn't do this or I didn't do that. So I used to though, like I used to always have to have a nap and I used to always like have to do these in certain orders, and then I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore because it's just like silly. So the only thing that I do, and I just think it's out of habit, is put my left shoe and sock on before my right.
Same.
But I actually think that's just like habit and not superstition.
No, fair enough.
So, if you were not a professional basketball player, what do you think you'd be doing?
Honestly, I have no idea because like I've just been around basketball like my whole life, so I don't know. Like I really like doing work with kids, and my dad's a social worker, so I was always like around like young kids or like foster kids at the time, and I like because I was around the same age, so I always used to like play with them and stuff, and they like became my friends. So like I really enjoy doing like stuff around kids, So probably that, or I also really enjoy photography. I don't have a camera or anything, but I just like photography.
Just a hobby.
Yeah.
So, this question we ask to everyone, but do you have any advice for young Australian kids or just kids in general that want a future in basketball?
I think my only advice would be if you have a goal, and you're determined enough to do it, you can make it. So just be determined, have the motivation, find something that you really want to do, because pretty much the saying, if you set your mind to it, you can do it, but it's actually true. If you set your mind to it, you can do it. You got to put the work in. You said it here first, kids.
Anyway, thank you so much, Kalani, for coming on the podcast today. It was a real honor having you on, and I hope you enjoyed joining us.
Yeah, thanks. It was awesome.
Me and Paris shenanigans.
Just us being idiots. Hopefully we can have you on sometime in the future. Maybe
once you have that 3-point shot, we'll just reviewing game tape. Just
trust me, we'll be at that.
Just have my highlight tape.
We'll be at that first Melbourne game when the fans are allowed back in.
Definitely, bro. Definitely.
All right.
I guarantee you that you'll see us front row seats.
I don't know about front row. I ain't got that kind of thing. Maybe nosebleeds. I'll just be cheering from the top.
We'll have to message
it's not that expensive for a women's game.
But anyway, thank you to everyone who tuned in to this episode. We appreciate all of you. Make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts does bits. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Yeah,
Peace.
Next week, next Tuesday, whatever it is. See ya.
Whatever day this goes
Thank
on.
you.
Bye.
Fuck you, big boy with that big broom. Big boy, how I come through. Big boy with that brand new